Facetteer gang, what's going on, man? What to do? It's your boy Demarcus, and we are here. 2026, and it's the first month of the year, about to be February, and man, it's when I think about how the years is moving. I mean, it's steadily moving for me in a positive way, and I hope the same for you all as well. And man, I'm super happy to announce that this is episode 50, and from the outside looking in to many folks, when you think about as far as numbers, think about as far as audience and stuff like that, having 50 episodes may not sound exciting or appeasing, but for me, it sounds amazing. And I don't even care about the outside noise because when I think about the fact that I've been able to sit down and record 50 episodes, whether some of them have been broken up into multiple parts or not, that just means that I've sat down for multiple hours, being able to explain my story and being willing to do that, and also being able just to talk about my growth and flaws and things that I've experienced. And so the beautiful part about that is that even if you only have a couple people, those are still people that continue to come back, but they feel as if they can relate to what you have going on. So that makes it special in itself because oftentimes people with their insecurities can just be focused on the bigger metrics or this whole way in which social media has really pushed us to believe in certain things, but many people they can fall short because to them things can just like you have to have it on a certain type of level for it to be relevant or for it to be something that people can cherish. But for me, it's not that way. And I look at it as for anything that you're doing, it has to start from somewhere. So even if you're someone that does blow up or whatever, you had to start from somewhere. But what better place than to start with one where you can be authentic and be your real raw self and be able to talk about the things that you're growing towards and talk about the different parts of your life that were relevant to your past, because if you continue to grow and evolve, then your audience is going to do that with you, or they're going to be forced to do that with you. And when you truly know and embrace yourself, there's not much that can ever shake you up because you know the person that's doing whatever. And anything that really shakes you up is just something where you'd be willing to adjust, and you put yourself in a position to adjust anyway. So really for this episode, man, one shout out to Demarcus for being able to get to episode 50. And again, big shout out to my guy, Coach Drew, that really encouraged me to go ahead and get the podcast going, last year. And really, actually, about a year and some change, year and a couple months, because started dropping it in the end of November. But yeah, shout out to him because oftentimes when we think about being a creative in whatever right that means for you, and let's take that away. Let's say when you think about just doing things that may be different, or you think about putting yourself out there, I can't lie. Sometimes it can be hard to listen to certain people or certain folks' feedback because oftentimes there are people that are not doing it for themselves, or they'll have all these answers, but they ain't been willing to put themselves out there. And the reason why I appreciate Drew is because he's someone that he leads by example, but he's also someone that will work with you given your style. And he's someone where you can just see the evolution and how he's moved, because there may be ways in which we both decide to go about things where he disagrees with something that I may say in regards to a suggestion and vice versa. But then we can come together as brothers and be like, hey, you know what? Like, how you do it, I can maybe incorporate that into my flow. Even if I disagree with you, there's so many other dope things about you where that's in the past. And man, I really appreciate getting to know him, for these last few years. And it's crazy. I still haven't even met him in person yet, but a lot of my relationships and a lot of the people that I've met in my life that I'm really close with, it took, honestly, I hadn't met them digitally, and then we eventually came together. You know what I'm saying? But that's the beautiful part about it, because that's where you create the genuinity, and oftentimes you're connecting off of similar interests. And so, yeah, that's true. Shout out to him. Big shout out to him for again continuing to encourage me and just in different areas when it comes to the creative stuff. Like, he's definitely supportive, and I appreciate people like this in my life for sure. Um, but yeah, as far as for today's episode, when I think about the topic for me, um, really the topic, and this is something that I'm really pushing myself to focus on this year, but putting less pressure on myself. And that's as simple and plain as I can make it. Like, putting less pressure on myself and allowing the expectations that I have to not make me feel inhumane. You know, the reason why I say to not let the expectations that I have make me feel inhumane, because it's not that it's going to make you like be doing something that you don't want to do, but it's more so like when you're being human, it's allowing you to be able to go through the curveballs, go through life, the ups and downs, the positives, but it's also allowing you to say, I believe in myself so much. I know that I have this certain type of skill set that me being able to turn things around is honestly going to be nothing. It's going to take hard work, but I'm so confident in who I am that even in times where things may not be how I want it to be, I know how to shake it back. Or if I have a certain way in which I'm moving, I'm so confident in that I don't need to backtrack or I need to try to prove or try to have these conversations with people to try to help them understand where I'm at. I'm going to keep showing up in how I'm moving, and that's where people are going to be able to see how who Demarcus is. That's going to be a way bigger focus for me, and it's honestly been a big focus in the past. But I really want to like pin it down on a desk and sit a book on it where it can't even move, because I know for myself, I'm a prime overthinker, but also I'm a person where when it comes to my perspective, I can think so out of the box, and I can honestly be so self aware that it allows me to be able to have certain perspectives and be very detailed. But oftentimes, it's not even that it's overthinking to where I don't allow myself to do anything or make mistakes, but it's more so where like I keep constantly replaying the same situation, and it's like I have to double check, triple check, quadruple check with myself to make sure like, am I actually thinking about it the right way, or uh, did I make this right decision? Was I tripping about this and that? And oftentimes the answers keep showing up for me, but it's like I want to keep challenging what's going on, or it's where you'll have conversations with people, and I'm a person where like I don't easily get peer pressure like that. So I may have multiple conversations with people and they may have limitations or they may not see it from my perspective. And I want to try to convince them so much, or it's where I can be moving in a certain way. And you hear multiple people moving in their own, I can be moving in my own way. And then I can come across multiple people that's moving in the same way. And I'm like, man, am I the one moving crazy? Is there something wrong with my approach? But then as I continue to move forward in life, each and every time, the way in which I choose to go, even if there's adjustments I have to make, it aligns perfectly. And oftentimes I realize, and there's people that I've met, people that come into my life, which is it's a small amount, where they move in a similar way that I do. And the biggest thing is we continue to push ourselves in life. We continue to try different things, and we don't just stay in the stagnant type of space or mindset. If there's a point in time to where we do get stuck and where things aren't moving, that's not long term. And I've realized that when you continue to make strides, when you continue to keep putting yourself out there, you're going to have way different experiences than most people that are living, because a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are going to go by what they see on social media, by what elders tell them. A lot of people are going to move in ways where it has to do with somebody else being a decision maker. You know, a lot of people are afraid to be alone. A lot of people, even in moments where they could have been alone, were afraid to spend that time or didn't know how to do it. And for me, I'm a person where that's not the case. And it has nothing to do with just being an only child and all that, because you grow out of certain things, or you're a part of different environments. I was a kid where I was always around people, really, until I feel like I got older is when I was like literally by myself. Like these last couple of years of living on my own is when I've really, really been by myself. Like even in college and stuff like that, have friends, depending on friends when I was younger, like, you're living in the crib with your parents, like to truly have time by myself was not until like the last couple of years, even though there's been multiple periods of me, like I had time to myself. But I'm saying as far as like me being able to be completely away from anyone and me choosing when I want to be in front of people, hey, that's been recently. But even before, I've had alone moments where I've been able to just have self thoughts and been able to understand who I am and be able to learn about myself. But there's something about when you truly, as an adult, take that time for you and you allow yourself to work on um, the areas in life that are important to you, and then also that are beneficial and exciting for you. And like I said, the people in my life, a big thing that we do is we keep on trying, whether it's a business idea, whether it's talking through posting some content, whether it's a job change. But the topics of discussion are always like fruitful and they're always moving along. They're always spiritually driven. So it's to the point to where when I'm speaking to some of my people, when they're talking about their brands, it's always something new that comes up, and it's always like a new challenge, or it's always, hey, I'm going to go about it this way, or we're talking about support, or the questions. This isn't about like, hey, are you still doing such and such? Of course, you know this. It's part of this person's brand, but it's more so, hey, what have you been doing to add on to what you were doing? Have you changed anything? And these are the questions that are important because when you think about and how you're moving, when people truly want to be a part of your vision and what you got going, and people truly embrace you, they want to figure out ways in which they can add value, but also they want to understand what you're doing that's enhancing where you're at. They're not going to be like, "Hey, have you fallen off?" Unless you just haven't been doing anything, unless there's been conversations that you all have had when you catch up and you never talk about what you those fat multi-facets or businesses that you have. That's different. But when you have people in your corner that are moving in similar type of ways, the conversations are always going to be ever flowing. And then you have times where people that you would expect to have those conversations with, it doesn't come up. So, hey, you just may have to remove people or remove access in certain ways. But the ones that you're truly locked in with, these are the ones, people in my life that I truly appreciate. And there's always ways in which you see people evolving and growing. And again, going back to the piece as far as trusting and believing in yourself, that's something like I told myself last year. I said that's going to be the last time that we self sabotage in that type of way. Now, granted, you're going to have moments to where you may slip up, where things just may not be working in your favor, but to self sabotage where I'm going to allow people, I'm going to allow situations to drive me down and that be in control of who I am, that's not happening because I've realized that what I would do is I'd get so frustrated. Now, not only is the situation happening, but I'm turning into my own enemy. So now I'm becoming mad at myself. I'm letting myself go. And then the person that's supposed to be fighting back, the person that I'm supposed to be believing in, that person's no longer here. That soul somewhere else. So how can I be able to fight with what's going on? And how can I be able to build myself if I'm letting myself go because of outside noise, outside people? There's no way I should let somebody else be that in control to where I can't move forward within myself. So that's something I worked on a lot last year, and even through some hills that I had to climb, the way in which I would still come out on top and not complain and not be crazy down on myself, allow myself to feel emotions, allow myself to be in distraught, frustrated, pissed off, but still believe that on the other side, like there's so much more in me. Man, that was amazing. And last year my word was dauntless, as I kept saying, but now it's merciless. Like it's taking it to a whole nother level. And I even had to say to myself this year, like when it comes to like writing down my goals, when it comes to um, locking in on my weight, like I won't say that I fell off, but like when it came to around Thanksgiving time up until now, like I had some good eating sprees. But the biggest thing the thing that I kept doing is I kept working out. I kept going to using my mini in-home sauna back at home, the one I have here in my crib. Like I kept making sure that I'm pushing through on workouts, doing my calisthenics, drinking my water. Even if I'm not doing the one thing, which is eating the best, I'm still going to find moments where I'm going to be doing all the other stuff, and then I'm going to find times where there may be a few days to where I'm getting my fiber, or every day where I'm getting my fiber intake. I'm taking my chia seeds, but I may have some slip ups where I'm eating a good amount of sugar, or I may eat a good amount of carbs one day. But then there's a couple of days where I may get a day of fasting in, or I may eat healthy one day. So it's not where I'm eating bad every single day, drinking all the time and stuff like that. No, like I didn't even have a drink of alcohol for like 5 months. I don't even really drink like that, but I'll have a good time when I go out and stuff like that. But I don't think I had no alcohol until I went to Austin, or maybe I went to like maybe a networking event or something in December. But the point is that when you're continuing to take strides, we've got to, if you're somebody that does this, we've got to stop looking at it as like we fell off. You didn't fall off. You had a shake in the matrix, and everybody goes through that. But social media doesn't show us enough of where you may have some up and downs. But I do, one place where I do see it with people that do create content is somebody that shows like, hey, I was able to get down and weight, and then you might see where they post some progress of like where they gain some weight, but then they come back even more snatched than they did the first time. Bro, that's like how boxers can move. But like more take away the boxers because that's their life and how they operate physically. But just think about everyday people. When you move like that, that's how the growth in life is. You're going to have moments where you hit some slumps, you hit some bumps in the road, but the difference is, do you just say I'm motivated at a point in life to where everything's going good, or when I got somebody in my ear, or do you say, you know what, I find the motivation within myself, but I'm going to allow myself to maybe have some ups and downs, but that's not going to be me falling off forever. That's different. And I realized it for myself where even again in me losing the amount of weight that I did, I said, okay, I'm picking up on some weight. I'm getting more water weight added to me, but that was literally with the carbs and sugars that I had, my muscles became more fuller. So I'm like, okay, I'm still getting my workouts in. I'm actually starting to work out even harder, putting on more weight, or using higher weights whenever I'm in the gym. So okay, so we're going to eat a good amount. So let's allow that to let our muscles get more full. Okay, let's make sure we're continuing to work out and get this high water intake because then once we hit a cut, we're going to be looking even better than we did when we were lean and not doing as heavy weights and maybe going more low carb. So you got to think about it that as you're adjusting, you're going to find ways that or as you're going through adjustments or those slow periods, you're going to find ways in which things can shift. But if you continue to put time and effort in as those shifts are happening, when you get back to that mental state of pushing through and making things happen, it's going to look a lot different. Why is it going to look a lot different? Because you've been putting in the work. And as the shifts been happening, you were doing the same thing that you were doing and what may have been like looked at as your best moment, but if that was your best looking moment, but you're still doing the same quality of workouts, even higher quality, put it at that, and then you get back into some of those habits that you had before, you're going to be looking and feeling even better. So I look at my life like that. Like when I think about the gym, like I even put up the intensity high on the ellipticals. I am walking more in the gym. I'm even doing higher weights than I did when I got my most lean. So now you're taking that same mindset and evolving. So now the thing is, okay, let me make sure that I'm cutting back on my foods. Let me get back into that mode. It's just going to take time. But if I can do some of the other things, it's going to be so easy when I get into the mind frame of that settling in for me. So if you're someone that struggles with continuing to feel as if you're on the right path, even when you may have some up and downs, man, stop doing that shit. And I'm really saying this to myself because there's so many times where I'll overthink and I'll be like, I have the same conversations over and over. And again, in how I'm moving, other people may not understand or whatever. And it's like now I'm backtracking because of a certain conversation that I have. I'll continue to move forward and still do what I do for me. I'm not letting anybody else be the deciding factor, but it's still just the thought process is just wasted time and energy. And so I'll be telling myself, like, DeMarcus, like, we got to work on this even more. And it's funny because a lot of times when I be saying things, I'll come into contact with somebody that does something way worse or that does it 3 or 4 times more than me. So the biggest thing is it's not about everybody else, but it's like DeMarcus, take less pressure off yourself, take more pressure off yourself, and have less pressure on, put less pressure on yourself because the way in which that you think things are going, or you may feel as if things are going slow, or times if you do feel behind, you're not because you have to look at how people really move, people that came before you, how are they actually moving? And when you talk to a lot of people haven't taken time to truly grow within themselves. They've gotten older. They may have got more money because you got to have a job. That's a necessity. You may have been in a situation where you got a chance to network with somebody, but how many people can truly say they're leveling up for them and you can actually see the results on them and through them and around them? You can't see that for a lot of people. And a lot of people also can only say that they've leveled up because they've had a spouse or somebody around them. Bro, that's not you truly leveling up. Now, if you have a spouse and y'all both level up together, you're gonna be able to see it on both of y'all, and you're gonna have your things going to where it's gonna show the work that you put in. But many people can just be with somebody just to say they're with somebody, or to not be alone. That's not true leveling up. Even when I think about me taking my time when it comes to being in relationships and stuff like that, I am truly not in a rush. And the more that I even think about like, oh, when am I going to have kids, marriage, and all this and that, the more I go back into some of those older mindsets, because those are the same things. Even when I thought about moving to New York, when I think about job situations and all that, like you're overthinking so much, but you're putting the work in. If you can remove that overthinking while you're putting the work in and shift that towards better strategies and everything, things may even happen a lot quicker. But when I look back, every single time that I do the right things for me, I align things in the way in which they're supposed to be. I have my conversations with God and things are in alignment. Every freaking time that I look back, everything has made sense. And it's made sense because I keep putting myself at the forefront and pushing. And a word that I don't like using, but I keep trying. If you keep trying, if you keep putting yourself out there, if you keep searching for things that are bigger than you because you sense that you have a talent, a skill, you sense that people are telling that you have this, something that you feel that God's giving you, keep going towards that. From what I'm learning, you're not going to have lifelong regrets towards different things. I can only speak about what I can sense at 29, but let me not say lifelong. You're not going to have regrets on certain things in your past up to a certain age. We'll say it like that. And then I have to come back 29 years later and see how I feel about that. But I can honestly say, from what I've done in my life, through the times where I messed up, ups and downs, the failures, the flaws, or whatever, when I look at where I'm at now and how I'm growing and evolving and all the steps that I've taken, I have no regrets. And I pray to God that it can stay that way. But the biggest thing that I realize is that if I look back, though, if there were a good amount of things that I didn't allow myself to do, a lot of time that I didn't spend with myself, I for sure would have regrets. Because sometimes you have a regret in the moment. Let's be honest. Like there's moments where I've had regrets in the moment or have regrets for a situation. But as I continue to evolve and as I allow myself to become better and grow through that, that regret goes away because I deal with the situation. I either change and become a better individual, or I end up making up wherever the situation is. But so again, I'm not saying that I haven't had regrets. Let me make that clear. But as I've evolved and continue to level up and better myself, those will go away. So when I look back at my life, I don't have regrets from where I'm at now. And I'm continuing to put myself out there and continuing to show up for me. And I'm continuing to do my due diligence for the people around me as well. Because if I'm expecting people around me to show up in a certain way, I for damn sure need to make sure I'm doing it as well. So I'm not going to let this get to 40, 50 minutes, but I am probably going to let this get to about 25, 26 minutes. I'm super proud of myself. I'm proud of you all out there that are allowing yourself to have the space to be able to show up for yourself, but also the people that are focusing on not self-sabotaging, and the folks that are also like, as I continue to go through life and go through experiences and I know what's best for me, I'm going to stand with that. And I commend the ones that are already doing that. And I know that for DeMarcus, I've got to work a lot better on that, because there's a lot of times where going through trials and tribulations, I'll get my answer. Speaking to many people, I get my answer. Going through life, I get my answer. And it's not just me like trying to say I know it all. It's really me going through life experiences and seeing things and me letting situations in life play out, me actually being the actionary and living through it and seeing the results. And then I'll be like, man, DeMarcus, you got the answer. Stop backtracking. Stop not giving yourself credit because of how these other folks is deciding to out here move or whatever. Like, no, DeMarcus, you not only do you have the answer, but you're getting the answer as well too. You're being able to hold up a mirror and you're being able to have these reflections, and the answer keeps showing up. And the biggest reason why is because you're allowing yourself to continue to make those changes. You're taking those strides to get better, and you're not running away from life. You're not running away from your emotions. You're not running away from that older version that didn't know how he was going to get to this point mentally and emotionally. You always allowed yourself to sit in that, and you allow yourself to be embarrassed or go through hurtful, hard times or whatever, because you always felt that there was something about you, something about life that was just different, and you wanted to get your own perspective. So Marcus, you're doing a great job. So as I continue to move forward and continue to level up in my own right, in my own mind, and in my own body, man, I'm so focused on allowing myself to learn and then stay firm in what I believe in, but more so stay firm in allowing myself to get results. And because of those results, allowing that to be my answers. Because when you get the answer, what's the point of keep on going back and back and back? What's the point of revisiting certain things when you've seen how you leveled up? Sometimes we want to go back so many times or so many dates or whatever to a certain version when you leveled up through that and you became an even better version. What you had in that version felt comfortable, and sometimes your mind is going to want you to go back to that comfort. But look how much that you've grown. You've grown tremendously. You've had a whole new life by removing some of those older versions. So stick with that. Stick with the knowledge and understanding that you have, because some people, even when you look at their lives, they'll never be able to get to this in their lifetime because they're not trying. They're not getting themselves out of the comfort zone. They can blame everything else in life. They can have all these other scenarios. They can have all these excuses. And at the end of the day, there's so many examples of people from all different backgrounds, different experiences, different outcomes that based on them putting themselves at the forefront, they were able to get the results that truly made them fulfill. And you can see that it's aligned with their lives in the right way. So it's your boy DeMarcus, man. This is the life of a multifaceted, and I appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is episode 50, and we're gonna have more episodes rolling out, man. So my Faceteers, make sure y'all like it with your boy if you haven't yet. My YouTube page is the Multifacets of DeMarcus. My Instagram page and my TikToks are both That Man Marco and Matching Up with Marco. And we getting the content and stuff rolling out. So I got my keloid content rolling out, my food content, my Freestyle Fridays, all that. And I got more coming, but make sure y'all stay locked in and tuned in with your boy, man. This is Life of Multifaceted, and we up out of here. Hey!